This is the Doug is Okay podcast, where we discuss culture, tech, and good times. Okay, I'm sitting this morning with my friend Scott. I know Scott like a few years now, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
3-4 years.
Yeah. I don't know, Scott's got a really cool story. He's a really cool guy, very authentic. I think he's also like a good sports guy in his day or now. Or
Come on.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, cool. And then we could just chat about a few things. Scott's got a interesting life sort of story where things went wrong and then they went right. And they're going right. And they go right. Hopefully they go right for a long time, you know. So, yeah, let's, without ado, here's Scott.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah, Scott and I were just talking around. I mean, we might as well get into it and then we can talk about fun things. Scott is one of the only guys I know, well, maybe one of a handful of guys who's not 100%. And what I mean by that is he is not 100% original. He has had some replacement parts.
Some foreign objects.
Yeah,
yes.
They're useful foreign objects. So I think, and Scott told me the story and it was interesting, but I didn't pay as much attention as I should have. But I think you had a replacement liver?
Liver.
Yeah. Okay. I was wondering if it's kidney. And then I know you've got, I mean, this is going to show my ignorance, but you have 2 kidneys, 1 liver.
I don't know how many kidneys. I think you do have kidneys.
Yeah.
I think
So,
you're right.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So neither of us are medical, so forgive us for those that are. Yeah, and also what I also really like about Scott is he's, and I hope I'm not offending him here, but I think you've had some different career paths.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's fun because some of us have had the same type of work for a long time, and I think the courage and just, I mean, I'm sure at the time it's not fun to change career, but I just think it's fun to do something different.
Totally.
Yeah. So, yeah, cool. Okay, well, let's talk about let's jump right into it. I mean, this is a little bit hitting a heavy topic off the bat here. You know, nothing like it, like a first date. Yeah, I mean, like, Scott, do you have any fun dating stories? Without Scott's married, so I don't want to compromise anything, but.
Well, I mean, I think our even just our meeting story is probably one of the funnest.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
I was 33. You know, I thought I was going to get married when I was really young. Of all my friends, I thought I'd the one to be married first, and it just didn't happen. Just didn't, you know, the right girl never came around. And I'm playing music at this place, and this girl walks in, and all my guys are in the band, this and that. You know, they've been trying to set me up because we knew a lot of the people that were there, and it, you know, I'm always telling them, I don't set me up, all that kind of thing. So anyway. My wife, whose name is Angie, she walks in the door, and I zeroed in, and just amazing eyes. I don't know, for whatever reason, I was just like completely drawn to her. And I just, you know, you kind of feel like you're under the influence.
Right, yeah. And you've been under the influence ever since, right?
Exactly.
So,
yeah, no doubt.
I mean, I was just under the influence from my partner.
Right. Yes. And, man, I made after our set got done, I made a beeline for her, and with some cheesy line about her eyes. And, it was unbelievable. I mean, we ended up going out with a bunch of people that night. And for days on end, we would talk, you know, for 6-7 hours a day. Yeah. And, it was, you know, and married within a year. Yeah. So it was, you know, I waited a long time, but when the right one came along, man, it was real.
So yeah, I've got a couple of weird stories. That not me, because I don't want to have any more under the influence moments from my partner. But my first one being my friend John. He literally told me on Sunday that, and his wife was present. Like if I'd heard this with him by himself, I would not have believed it. But he said he went on a date with his wife. John is a good-looking guy. He works hard. I think he's a fitness guy, like a coach type guy. He was going out with his wife for the first time ever. I think, well, second date possibly. and I'm going to get John on here because he's a wild man, but he can really correct us here where we messed this up. But he told me that his stomach wasn't right on the day of the date. Like it must have been based on what he told me, it must have been horribly wrong. But he's walking by the zoo, which seems like for a guy like that, it seems like a romantic sort of second date environment. You know, it's quite sophisticated for who he is. Yeah. So he's out there, and he was walking by some bamboo, and his stomach started rumbling horribly. And he really wanted to go to the restroom. The zoo was apparently a ways away from the public restroom. He couldn't make it. And he had an accident in his trousers. He literally shat in his trousers. And he said he had to walk behind his date. He said at some point they were passing by the entrance to the zoo, and he said, "Excuse me," and he beelined it for his truck. And he had an extra set of, because he's a gym guy, he had extra set of clothes in the truck. Managed to change, and he came back to his wife fresh, cleaned up and everything. But she was standing right next to me when we were telling the story. It was wild. Yeah. And she told us she could not understand what was happening. But she's a very cool person and very, very nice lady.
Guess her olfactory senses weren't working too well.
I don't know. I mean, I've just never heard of it.
I've had a child walk next to me.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's terrible. I've never heard of something like that. So that's the one story. And then the next story that I have, which is, I hope it's not offensive to anyone, but this girl was on a date with the guy, and they had they were very like upper end restaurant, fairly pricey. She was by all accounts, thoroughly enjoying the date. And then at some point, the check came, the bill for the overseas people. The guy gave his credit card, and then the server or waiter came up and said, "Hey, excuse me, can you just come to the front? There's the problem with the payment." And the girl who I was friends with was sitting at the table. She waited a good 30 minutes. And eventually was like, oh, "This is crazy. What's going on here?" She walked to the front of the restaurant, and he was in handcuffs being led off by the police for using a stolen credit card.
Oh my God. Did they end up getting married?
They did not. Yeah. But I do.
Didn't start off too well for him.
Yeah. Well, I do have two friends who, and I'm not encouraging this lifestyle.
Yeah. But
they both had DUIs at the time of meeting their partners. So when they were going to go on a date, they had to be, "Excuse me, would you mind coming to pick me up?" And both of those guys got married.
Yeah.
So it just shows you, like, it's I guess it's how you go from there. So that's the dating stories. Cool. And then, well, let's get into the medical thing, because I know some of us, I mean, you go to the doctor on like a Wednesday, and he phones you. I always find bad news comes at about 5 o'clock. Is that right? Or I mean, they never seem to tell you in the morning.
My situation, no.
Okay, all right. Well, let's hear your story. Yeah.
Well, I was 30 years old. My skin kind of started just itching like you have allergies.
Okay.
But it was kind of constant. Yeah. And so I started seeing doctors, and it literally took me 1-2 years before.
And this wasn't like itch. No, like let's get out the Lanasil type itch, or was it a little different from that?
No, just skin. I mean, literally,
it wasn't like
simple, not
wasn't like an athlete's foot or anything like that. Yeah.
No, nothing like that. And anyway, finally, a family doctor took some labs after I'd kind of gone through some allergy doctors and just telling me I had allergies and that kind of thing. And this family doctor took some labs, and my liver function tests were just through the roof. I mean, 10 times normal. And she sent me to a specialist, and I literally within a couple weeks' time, I found out that I had a liver disease called PSC, which primary sclerosing cholangitis, which means your bile ducts on your liver are abnormally small.
Wow.
And so the bile that your liver produces just backs up and causes cirrhosis of the liver.
Is this a disease that you're genetic, or would it be something you catch from something, or just from
just chance?
Just per chance, yeah. Happenstance.
Yep. Yeah. And they say, my kids most likely won't have it, and nobody in my family line has ever had it, and I was just kind of born with it.
Right. Interesting.
So, yeah. So one day you wake up and somebody tells you, hey, within the next 8 years, you're either going to die or you're going to get a transplant.
Yeah,
it's either one, it's one or the other.
And what was in your mind at the time? I mean, were you
just
shocked or
yes.
feeling empty, or did the world slow down and like it just what happens to one?
It's interesting. My personality is not really one to worry.
Okay.
For the most part. Yeah. So, you're kind of like, oh, okay. 8 years seems a long ways away. So, you just, in some form or fashion, I just kind of start going on with life. You know what I mean? It wasn't until like year 6, 7 when you kind of go over that ledge. And by then I'm married and have children. And
so you just put this on the back shelf.
Exactly.
And didn't spend a lot of time
thinking
out there. Yeah. That's probably the way to do it.
Yeah. I mean, in those 4 years or so leading up to my transplant, I'm in the hospital every once in a while.
Okay.
And, so it's steadily going, so but that last 2 years, it's over the cliff and
you're on a trajectory. You can feel it.
Exactly.
Like tick, tick, tick on the roller coaster.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So the sicker I got, obviously the more worried you get.
Yeah.
Yeah. So by the time I found out when I was 30, by the time I was 36, I was going over that edge and started losing weight and started looking yellow and all the things that, liver disease.
So if we back up a bit, sometimes you hear people with those type of circumstances, they think, well, I'm going to go out living and they just max out the credit cards and I'm going to enjoy life.
Right.
And then it's going to happen, what's going to happen. Or I guess you get some people who possibly, I'm going to hit every supplement on the planet and do yoga and see the chiropractor and what else? I'm going to meditate for 27 hours of the day.
Yeah.
So did any of those come through your mind? Do you know where I'm going with this? Like you see people, or worst case, some people. I mean, I've heard of this terminal illness. I mean, yours wasn't terminal, but they literally take their lives, and that's also. I mean, that's one response, I guess. I don't.
Mine had the possibility of being terminal, but the possibility of hopefully being able to get something. But no, that's once again, I think it's a strange thing just about who I am.
Right.
Is I'm not really an extremist. You know what I mean? So I don't go down the rabbit hole much.
Right.
And I did some basic things of just trying to figure out what's great for your liver.
Right.
And these drops under the tongue of this herb and, these kind of things that I would try, but I wasn't consistent in anything. So it never, I don't know that any of it really helped. And in the long run, it didn't matter because that liver was going to go down anyway.
And you went, just for the record, you weren't a heavy drinker or anything, but you did enjoy the good odd IPA or sour. I think you're a sour.
Oh, no, I'm not an IPA guy.
Okay, you're sour.
I like the sweet.
Okay. Oh, sweet.
Come on,
that's right.
Mango
Yeah,
Cart.
there we go. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you couldn't have a glass of wine or
one interesting note about it that I've always wondered about, though, is when I was young, and this is what my mom, she always thought this had something to do with it. When I was in college playing football, I took a lot of creatine, which isn't supposedly good on your liver either. Oh. Now, so did my best friend.
Yeah, and he's fine.
We played together, and he was, nothing ever happened to him.
Yeah.
So, it probably didn't help.
Yeah.
But it might have hurt as well. So who knows?
Well, that's interesting because I was talking with someone last night, literally, and once again, I apologize for my ignorance to everyone. I'm sure the people know way more about this than I do. But he found an online doctor, and he's taking the liver transplant drug to restore his cells. Have you heard of this before? Mm-mm. Yeah. So I don't know anything about
to restore his own liver?
No, his liver's fine. Apparently, they discovered that if you and once again, I'm very ignorant on this. Yeah. If you fast for a long time, at a certain point, and I think it's after you hit ketosis, your body starts eating. And I'm going to hack this, so people can correct me. starts just eating or destroying the damaged cells in your body. And my understanding from talking to him last night was that that the liver transplant drug that people take after a transplant does this, or at least they think it does. So he's taking that in the name of longevity. I'm friends with some all different people, and living forever is important to some people. Right. So there's no opinions from here or me or anything. Just food for thought. So I guess that's in the supplement thing. So the creatine thing. Yeah. So interesting. Okay, crazy. Cool. So you're on a downbound train, like Bruce Springsteen saying. Yep. I mean, Scott's a musician, so hopefully you appreciate some of this.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And then so where did we go from there?
Yeah, well, like I said, those last 2 years, you kind of go over the cliff, which they told me when I was 30 that was going to happen.
Okay.
I hit a certain point, and you just kind of go over it, and then it's a downhill fast.
Right.
And I, really came down to the point where I had doctors telling me, listen, you're going to die any day.
Okay.
I don't know that you're going to be able to get your transplant before you die, and so it becomes very dire. You really come to that point where you're looking at, okay, what's eternity look like?
So how does the whole transplant world look like? I mean, we hear things, we watch movies.
Yeah. At the hospital that I was at, which is in Colorado.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
I was one of 430 people on the transplant list.
Wow.
And at that point, at the very end, I was 16th and 8th when they had those conversations with me.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone donates their organs.
Mm-hmm.
How many if you had to speculate, how many organs are available each day for?
Well, it's tough because you think about all the different programs across the United States that are doing transplants.
Yeah, in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure if they transplant these internationally. Or?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, you do hear some horror stories of people selling parts in poorer countries.
Well, that it might be easier outside of the country, but in all reality, that's a very expensive venture as well, and there's no guarantees.
Right.
And there was no guarantees, even where I was at.
So would you say it's about just within the United States where we're sitting today? Would there be like 50 available on a daily basis, or 25 or 3 a week?
What I know about this is the year that I had my transplant, there were over 300 just at that hospital.
Okay, so there's a decent enough, but is it enough? Probably not.
Well, 460 people on the list, or 420 or whatever. Well, funny thing about it is I think that the person at which it was a female, that we don't know for positive, but there was a young 20-something year old that died the day before in Denver in a traffic accident, and thinking that most likely was the liver I received.
Wow. Yeah.
So
it's something to be thankful for.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And hopefully that person.
I always tell everybody that's why I'm emotional.
That's true. Yeah, you could be. Yeah, you could be. Absolutely. And I mean, definitely in touch with that.
For the ladies out there,
feminine side.
Excuse me.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Please forgive me.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so you went to go get that, and then so. Okay, so where were we?
So we get down. I'm in those last couple days.
Yeah.
I was actually not at home at that time. I came to another place to
in the same
because I was higher on the list there.
Okay.
And nothing for 3 months. Not one liver came through their program.
Okay, gotcha.
So I finally just went home to die. And
they called you back.
Within a week of being there, I got a call.
Yeah.
Saying, "Come on."
Yes. So that time at home, was it quite a heavy time, because you had two young kids. Yeah.
Yep.
So I think for a lot of people, possibly some people aren't so afraid about passing, but then there are things they want to see, and I guess parents are very protective of their kids, and they want to see them at least mature to a level of independence.
Yeah.
So I think that would be difficult as a youngish parent or parent of young kids.
Probably. And for me, it wasn't fear of dying. Mm-hmm. For me, it was fear of missing what, gosh, at that point, I'm married 4 years. I have an amazing wife, and I have 2 young children. You know what I mean? And so missing out on what life held. And so, like I said, it wasn't a fearful thing. It was a sadness. Yeah. Because I was going to miss something.
Yeah, and
great.
I've been there when some people passed before, and it's they were at peace. Honestly, the moment of passing was incredible. But I wonder, it's just a difficult road. I had a procedure recently, and I went under anesthetic, anesthesiologist, by the anesthesiologist, anesthetist for everyone else, and I was about to go under, and just prior to that, I had to sign some sort of waiver that you could lose a leg, you could lose all those things, you could die. I'm like, I didn't have much time to process this, so I literally, as I'm going out, I go, this could be it, which obviously I hope I'm not making a mockery of the situation here, but for me, I don't know if I'm on the spectrum or something, but I definitely had an internal concern about all of it, is this what the end's like, and then those type of thoughts flash through your mind. I mean, this is in milliseconds, because it was literally, they're putting in the IV, and I'm about to,
and you're signing.
I'm about to get turned off, or I guess not turned off. Yeah, exactly. I signed, and then I was like, oh boy, So interesting. Okay, so you went through that. Did the world slow down, or was it? You probably weren't worried about cutting your grass at that point, or the oil change on your cars.
No,
just everything financials. You didn't worry at all. Just slows right down.
Exactly. Yeah. The things that we deem so important. In our daily lives, those things kind of move to the periphery.
Yeah.
And the things that they're the most important. The relationships we have, those kind of things. Those are the pieces that in those moments I would just try to be with my family.
And I was recently in a old person's retirement. It's not retirement, but it's for older. Yeah, I don't know what you call this. Yeah, something. Yeah. And there were people that had been out seen when they were younger, and they were in great shape and strong and healthy, and they were very weak and frail. And I'm not in those environments very often, and I kept wondering that there was a lost for everything. That some of those people would have a lost encounter with a partner. On the lighter side of things, there must be a time when they had their last sexual encounter, which is a weird thought. This is definitely not something that's discussed about. But you have these thoughts, and I'm not sure what was going. It bothered me, and the person who I was with when they passed, there was a time when she could stop driving. That was the last time she drove the cars. Then there was time last time put on a pair of shoes. There's all these lasts, and it's I mean, Freddie Mercury sang a song about everything just being stripped away. I think my understanding is his last album, they had to carry him into the studio. So it's that. So for you, you're in that space.
Yep.
And you were able to break out. So tell us the story and the hope and everything that you experienced. What kept you going is,
Well, it wasn't, at some point you relinquish the fact that it's going to happen.
Okay.
Possibly.
Okay.
There's always still hope. There was that last bridge of hope, and in all reality, my faith is something that kind of kept me going in those moments, because it gave me hope.
Yeah, Scot is is a spiritual guy.
Exactly.
He's a faith.
Yep. And just the hope of tomorrow.
Right.
So so we get a call. I come in and it's weird. From in a 24-hour period, my surgery was 9 hours, and you wake up the next day and your eyes are white again, and your skin is a different color, and everything is before you again.
So like with practical, I'm a technical guy, somewhat technical. Does you get a new liver? Does it automatically just start filtering and doing everything it's supposed to do right off the bat?
Within the hours of the time they put it in, it starts purifying your system. And that's why my eyes went from yellow to white.
And prior to that, were you on some form of dialysis?
No.
Okay, so
that would be kidney.
Okay, kidney.
Yep.
Okay, right. So
yeah, when you're on dialysis.
Got you.
With the liver, there's no form of dialysis for the liver.
Because an older guy who's kind of a mentor to me, oddly enough, he had a heart issue, and his kidney stopped working. So he's on that process, and it's obviously he's a little older. He's not going to get any transplants or anything.
Right.
So I guess that's what it is. But I mean, it's better than the alternate, you know.
Yeah.
He's bought some more time for himself, and he's able to go forward. Yeah. So you got the replacement, and then you built your life back again.
Yeah, it definitely took a while because I had lost a lot of weight and did not have strength by any means, and I had a few issues afterwards.
Okay.
But within a year or so, you're kind of back to where you were before, and with a different perspective.
And did you change career at this point? We haven't really talked about this at that point. So you were doing something, and then you transitioned to...
I had been with Farmers Insurance for the past 3 years in a training program.
Okay, perfect.
But because I had to stop working before the training program had finished, I didn't become an agent.
Okay.
And it meant I was going to have to start all over. So I was at a crossroads of, do I go back to that? Or for myself, do I go into something that I felt I had been called my entire life?
And this is probably a little more personal, like... but we hear horror stories of someone getting sick, and then the employment pulls the rug on them. What did you experience? And obviously, we've mentioned farmers, so we don't want to say too much and get anyone in trouble here.
Totally.
But I mean, did you find the experience was more positive, or?
Well, it was in the sense. I mean, I was blessed that my wife had an incredible career.
Okay. Yeah.
And that would really kept us afloat for 2 years while I was homebound.
Got you.
And coming out of it. It was not necessarily what do I have to do, but what is that thing that's going to, for, you talked about at the beginning, I did a lot of different things, for a scope of 16 years.
Yeah.
And never really found that thing. And I always knew what the thing was.
Right.
But, finally finding that and making a move towards that was a life changer.
So we could say that you found some courage through that experience. Because what was if we want to not getting too deep here, but what stopped
courage
you
as much as it is you realize how unimportant things are.
Right.
And that I was at some point I was running after money.
Right. Yeah. Now most of us.
You know what I mean? And so when you almost lose your life, you got that's not so important anymore.
And I don't know if you know this, but I was friendly with a guy worth $3 billion, and he passed away at the age of 62, which is quite young. I kind of liked him. I didn't know him all that well, but I was definitely getting to like him, and I had a respect for him. But he passed away, so all that money, he left the planet at 62. So I think it might have been 62, 63, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
It seemed premature. Yeah, no, interesting. Well, I'm very glad that you got your liver.
Thanks, man. Me too.
I actually really like you. I don't know if I said that before or not, but I really really thoroughly enjoy you. So, and I'm sure lots of people do. I mean, I've never met anyone who didn't. At least they said they did.
Right.
No,
exactly.
So, but I'm glad that happened for you, and I think going forward, I mean, I don't think you let this isn't your identity.
Nope.
Yeah, and I mean, you go forward because I think some people mentioned recently that Yellowstone could be. I'm really interested. I'm a curious guy.
Yeah.
So I hear all different things, and I ask questions sometimes. Someone said Yellowstone. I don't know if you know this. Yeah, did you know Yellowstone's a volcano? I must have been bored, but I was looking on the internet last night, and someone told me that. Well, there was this thing about some famous guy said that Yellowstone could blow up and kill us all in the world. So I guess going forward, I mean, I'm being serious, but I'm not being serious.
Right.
There are other things that can happen.
Right.
someone told me about some people who got wiped out on the way to the wedding, and I don't think it's true. I think in that particular, the guy was prone to leave the path of the truth quite regularly. But I guess things could happen to you. You know, you always hear of someone getting blindsided on a Tuesday by a runaway bus. I've actually had a head-on collision with the bus myself. It wasn't my fault. But I needed to replace someone's car afterwards.
For goodness sakes.
Yeah, it wasn't. Don't lend me your car anyway. So good. But okay. Well, let's move. Do you feel we've covered that, or
sure,
anything else you want to say about that? Because I'd love to talk to you about culture and some music and things. What have you? Because you played guitar, right?
Yeah, guitar, piano.
And you've been playing since you were a kid.
Yep, teenager.
Do you have some favorite bands? Or?
I mean, that is a long list, buddy. But
who would be all time? So you sometimes hear people talking about the soundtrack to their life. So is that the Boss, Bruce Springsteen, or is that what are we talking about?
It wasn't the Boss. It wasn't the Boss.
Are we talking about Kurt Cobain? Who's your guy?
For me, it was Phil Collins.
Phil Collins.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Okay.
I love the passion behind.
Okay.
I mean, I love so much music in different styles of music. But growing up, Phil Collins and Genesis had a big impact. You know, I dreamed of being the drummer with the mic on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you good at singing? Because wasn't Phil Collins a drummer?
He was.
Okay. Yeah.
He was the lead singer.
Okay.
But also the drummer. So
interesting.
Yeah. So in concert to see him get behind the drums and still
sing at the same time.
Awesome.
Yeah. Because drumming's quite physical, right? So I would imagine are they out of breath at some point? Or
what's that?
Are drummers out of breath at some point?
I don't know.
We know when they get after it.
In some kind of good shape. So.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. Well, good. Scott, I think we didn't get into some of the fun things, but I think our time is against us, and let's definitely get you back, and we'll talk about fun things. This was probably a little heavy, but we just wanted to share that all of us have these ups and downs in life, right?
Absolutely.
And just some of the experiences, there is a positive other side to almost all of them.
Right. Totally.
And it's life. No matter how much money or how little we have, this is what we go through. We born and we die, and then the more some people get involved in the taxes. I don't care about that type of thing.
Right.
So I just think it's good to have these convos. I find it interesting. I had heard your story before, but I didn't pay as much attention. I'm sorry.
No.
And I know there was one bit that you said your friends came out and put up the Christmas lights.
They did.
And I thought that was...
I was in the hospital.
I thought that's really cool because that just shows, how many people really take the time. I mean, Well,
we wouldn't have made it through that season, in all reality, had we not had the support of our community, the support of my family, the support of Angie's family, all the above.
And I suppose there are some people out there that don't have that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our hearts and good wishes go to those people to go through that alone. But I hope. I mean, I read a book called "My Mom's Marijuana" about a guy who had cancer, and he actually, I don't want to spoil the book for anyone, but he married one of the nurses that helped him. Which, so I guess even in the healthcare system, there are people that care and can relate. So totally. There's always hope out there for people, and that's really the message today.
Yep.
Is hope. But anyway, well, thanks, Scott. It's been great, absolute pleasure and an honor to have you on. And I've got utmost respect for you. So thank you for giving up your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Take care. Thank you for listening to our show today. Please consider supporting us on Patreon and following our progress on our website, dougisok.com. Until next time, stay okay.